Good morning, everybody. Today is July 7th. Hope if you celebrated the holiday weekend that it went well. Rick, how are you, sir? Appreciate the wave. We've got a fun topic this morning. One that right off the bat usually causes a line in the sand because the topic in a tabloid would be referred to as clickbait because it would get everybody's undivided attention. And so here is the topic encapsulated. Can you be too strong? Isn't that just a can of worms right there? I asked my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old last night, and one of them said, no, absolutely not, because what does that even mean, too strong? It's not like I'm going to go into the garage and I'm so strong that when I go to do a pull-up, I just rip the pull-up bar off the wall, so that doesn't make any sense. So no way, it can't be too strong. And my other one, obviously, God bless him, realized that I was setting a little bit of a trap. He's already learned that. And so he just looked at me and he said, it depends. And I was like, I'm not sure that you know what it depends on, but yes, that's actually the correct answer. It depends. So, can you be too strong? It depends, and we're going to chat about what that depends on real quick because it is an interesting topic. It just depends upon how you define strength. CrossFit is very big on defining its terms. It depends on your goals, and it depends on the community that you relate to and find yourself in. So, for example, if you are a dedicated powerlifter, that is your world, your passion, and your life is back squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. It makes you smile. There's nothing you'd rather do. That's what you train for day in and day out. That's the metrics you use to measure against your friends. You go to local or national competitions. Then if I ask that person the question, can you be too strong? The answer is probably no. Because whatever has to happen to increase squat, deadlift, and bench press numbers, that's the priority. Hey, how many max pull-ups do you have? Nobody cares. Hey, what's your 5K? Never heard of it. Hey, handstand push-ups. Not worried about them. Whatever it happened to be, that's not their world. So for them, it probably cannot be strong enough, quite frankly, and that's great. Same thing if you were a dedicated, your world revolved around Olympic lifting, clean and jerk and the snatch was that's it, your universe. Then you are willing to sacrifice capacity in all sorts of other areas. Who cares about being well-rounded if it means you have a better snatch and clean and jerk than the competition? Because that's what's going to get you ranked or get a trophy or get a medal around your neck. So again, nobody cares about your Cindy score, right? But we're in a different pursuit if we do identify ourselves as CrossFitters, as chasing GPP, as general physical preparedness. We are in a different pursuit. Whereas the fittest powerlifter might be ranked from their total of those 3 lifts, for a CrossFitter, our fitness is, to use terminology that you would hear at the CrossFit Level 1, work capacity across broad time and modal domains, which is a relatively fancy way of saying that we're greedy and we want to be good at a tremendous amount of activities, not just 3 lifts or 2 lifts or not just, 1 run. If you are a marathoner, I'm sure you do some short distance stuff, but if you're a marathoner, your marathon time matters. Maybe your buddy can beat you at the 800-meter run, but you don't care as long as you win the marathon because you're a marathoner. So for CrossFitters, we've got a whole bunch of body weight stuff we want to be good at, a whole bunch of conditioning, engine work, and we also like to lift. When we say weightlifting, we don't necessarily, and this is all classic CrossFit Level 1 stuff, and find it in the CrossFit Journal and so on. When we say weightlifting, we're not talking about the sport of weightlifting. We're just identifying one of the areas that we train when compared to conditioning work or gymnastics work. When we say weightlifting, it's just external objects, which could be a barbell, could be a sandbag, could be a kettlebell, could be a wall ball. It's our body plus something else. So we want to be good at weightlifting too. And we want to be good at everything from light to moderate to heavy. So getting back to, could a CrossFitter that identifies themselves as, pursuing fitness and wanting to be better at fitness, which is a whole bunch of things, could a CrossFitter be too strong? Yes. The answer is yes. Now, how strong is too strong is not a wonderful, precise definition or mathematical thing that I can encapsulate and say, when you've crossed this threshold, oops, you've become too strong, you tore that pull-up bar off the wall. It's more like a lack of being well-rounded. Okay, so if you have, and I'm going to use some extreme examples just to paint the picture, right? If you have a 650-pound deadlift, that's just a monstrous deadlift. You're doing your best to get to 700. Fantastic if you're a powerlifter. But if I met somebody that hey, I'm a CrossFitter, and I was like, geez, that's fantastic. So am I. We're in the same community, and CrossFitters like to talk numbers. So this person was like, yeah, he's like, and they like to brag about their own numbers and usually what they're good at. And they're like, hey, you know what? I just pulled 675 pounds the other day on the old deadlift. I'd be like, holy cow, are you kidding me? And they're like, no, 675, my friend, knocking on the door of 700. And I was like, holy cow, that's incredible. And he's like, thank you, yep, I know. So you're a CrossFitter, right? Yep, dedicated CrossFitter. I was like, man, well, that's great. In the morning, I'm gonna take off on a 4-mile run. Do you want to head out and do that with me? Like, ooh, the morning doesn't work well for me. I think I'm gonna have to pass on that one, but I really appreciate the offer. Again, a fictitious scenario, but one that would not be completely unlikely, because you can't have it all. And so at a certain level of capacity, to push one of those areas that we just said a second ago, we simplified them into gymnastics work, conditioning work, weightlifting. You've got 3 knobs that you can dial, right? And I'm not saying that all 3 of those knobs have to be exactly at 33%, 33%, and 33%. One might be 40, 30, 30. That might get you to 100, so on and so forth. But that's really close to being nice and even. But when you start to get one dial at about 70% and the other 2 dials are at 15%, then we have skewed capacity so far in one direction that we are quite far from being well-rounded and capable of anything that could come our way, so on and so forth. And so, again, while it's not a precise science, while I'm not saying you have to have each dial at 33%, if you've been around the community for a bit, you'll start to get a good sense as to if yourself or another athlete happens to be particularly skewed too far to one side. And it goes the other way as well, for example. So trust me, I'm not just picking on people that like to lift heavy weight. And by the way, there's no, I'm not attacking anyone's moral character. There's no value judgment in what I'm saying here. Whatever you want to do, rock on and have fun. You're not sitting on the couch. I don't care if you're a dedicated powerlifter. I think that's really cool. Have a blast. If your world revolves around Olympic lifting and that's what you want to do, have a blast. No, it doesn't bother me. But if your pursuit is well-rounded fitness, then we just have to have an honest discussion as to what that means, what training for that means, and what assessment of that means. And then if we find ourselves or one of our clients that defines that as their goal, GPP, general physical preparedness, and they're going in a different direction, we need to have the ability to rein them back in. And like I said, that doesn't just apply to weightlifters. The opposite is true. If I meet somebody and they're like, I'm a CrossFitter, and I was like, no kidding, so much, it's amazing. And I was like, well, let's talk numbers. That's what CrossFitters do. And they're like, yep, just tested my mile the other day, getting really close to that 4-minute mile. Came in at 4:08 on the old mile. Like, holy cow, that's insane, a 4-minute and 8-second mile? And that's incredibly impressive. And the pain that somebody must endure to achieve that, I've never stepped foot in those waters. Like, I have nothing but respect for that. But in telling me that one metric, that they have a 4-minute and 8-second mile, they don't have to tell me about their overhead squat. I've already learned a whole bunch about it just by them saying that they have a 4-minute and 8-second mile. Their overhead squat is not good, in case you're not following the bouncing ball on this one. It's not good. And again, it's not a character flaw. But again, if you're going to have so much incredible capacity in one area, you have almost by definition tremendously sacrificed in other areas. And if you are by trade, I mean, maybe you're a miler that's sponsored by Nike or Reebok or just whoever, and being a 1-mile runner feeds your family, puts your kids through school, keeps a roof over their head, keeps a car in your driveway, then the heck with your overhead squat, quite frankly. Your whole world is whatever's going to take to improve that 1-mile time. Fantastic. But again, if the goal is being well-rounded, I would be shocked to find that person that had a 4-minute and 8-second mile to have a fantastic score at Mary or Cindy or Nate, and as well as a solid DT time, etc., etc. You know, that would be, I've been around this community for a bit, met thousands and thousands of people from all sporting backgrounds and all walks of life. That would be a shocking encounter if I did find that person. They're like, yeah, by the way, 4-minute and 8-second mile and 5-minute 45-second DT. I would immediately hang out with that person all day long and pick their brain for as long as they let me, because they would have such incredible capacity in 2 different areas that I would be fascinated to know what they were doing, how they were doing it, and I would want to take that information, share it to the world, and that would be in the very next one of these videos that I had. So, what was I just going to say there? And this actually came into play the other day on something which shall remain nameless, but there was a very popular television show on recently that involves some well-known celebrities, and there's these physical feats that are occurring, and at the end of the show it culminates in I guess what you could call somewhat of an obstacle course kind of a thing. And I enjoyed the show, quite frankly. It's good television, and they had these 2 individuals that were going to compete early on in the show, and this one individual's stats were very similar to just what I said a second ago. He was a monstrously strong individual. I think he had a deadlift that was right around 700 pounds. It was huge. And as soon as that one stat came out, again, there's no judgment against this human being. He's obviously a dedicated athlete to have built himself up to a 700-pound deadlift. I mean, come on. But as soon as that one stat came out, and I knew that at the end of the show was something looking like an obstacle course that would require a whole range of physical capabilities and was going to last multiple minutes in duration, I immediately knew he had no shot at winning. He just doesn't have a shot. Because to have that much capacity there speaks to not having capacity in other areas, and that's what played out. At the end, he was incredibly gassed and didn't win. So some of these things you can just, you can't have it all. So if you are truly pursuing CrossFit as we are, then we do everything with our programming. And if that wasn't the case, to find the fittest person on earth, the CrossFit Open would just be one event. And the event would be to test one of your lifts, and whoever lifted the most, well, you're the strongest, and that must be the fittest. But as we all know, that's not how it works out. To actually truly test and develop fitness, we need a large range of tasks, varying the loading, the rep scheme, the time domains, the movements, etc., etc. And we mimic that in training as well. So if every day in training you're touching a barbell, there's a good chance you might have one of those dials skewed a bit too far at the expense of the other two. And conversely, if you're only touching a barbell once a week and all of your time is spent on conditioning and gymnastics work, well, there's a good chance that you're skewing those a bit too far to the other way. Fair is fair. And neither one is right or wrong. Again, it just depends on if you have clearly identified your goals and what you're looking for. You have to have the unbiased, factual information presented to you so that you can properly pursue those goals in the most efficient and effective manner while staying on course. And so at Linchpin, we're fitness fanatics. We're chasing being well-rounded, work capacity across broad time mole domains, and we're going to continue doing that. Thank you all for being a part of it. Have a wonderful day. Let me take a quick scan here and see if I missed anything. Bunch of waves and high fives. That's always cool. Appreciate it. The social media world appears to be in a good mood today. That makes me happy. Let's see. All right, let's see. CrossFit chats and Starbucks. I mean, come on, what's better than that, right? It's all good. It's all good. Adrian, the Zombie Apocalypse crew. Oof. Zombie Apocalypse crew, for anyone who's unaware of it, at Linchpin is our dumbbell crew, our limited equipment option, which is every workout that we post each day done with dumbbells, and for those that don't have barbells, etc. And we lovingly refer to them as our Zombie Apocalypse crew, because if you handle dumbbells every day, you are one tough individual, and it shows. So that's it. Have a wonderful day, and we will talk again later.